Okay, guys. Hopefully some of you guys will find me. Obviously, I had a stream before and the sound was apparently bad. So anyone who is here with me now, can you let me know how the sound is on this stream? If it doesn't work here, then what I will do is I'll start another new stream and I will turn the microphone off completely, just do the computer microphone. So let me know if the sound is working. Okay, Jinx Geek reports says audio successful. That's good news. The teams are out on the pitch now, guys. So we start here. We made it work. Matty Smith says much better. Come on, we're cooking with gas here, guys. We're cooking with gas. Love it. Al Jennings, hello again, Barnaby. So how are you guys feeling about this game against Brighton here? My dog Lulu is here to watch, but she's too low down. You can't see her. Do you want to go up here, Buns? I just want us to play with no pressure. I just want us to play good football. Matty Smith says, think we will win today. Also, I should say I'll be keeping across the scores in the other games as well. Obviously, there's a big fight on for fifth place, isn't there? As the trumpeter starts up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Ange is there on the touchline. What do you think is going to happen with Ange? What do you think? I don't know. I do feel like if Spurs have to make a decision like by tomorrow. I don't know. And the other thing this is how my mum actually sent me the Daniel Levy team news. Sorry, not team news, the kind of program notes. And she was surprised that, Levy hadn't said more about Postecoglou. And I just think if he does sack him now, actually, Alistair Gold wrote something really good in an article today, which is he said, if he sacks Ange Postecoglou, Spurs have just got rid of the term Spursy by winning that Europa League. If he sacks Ange Postecoglou, that term Spursy will be straight back on us because all the pundits will say it's the most Spursy thing. And the summer will no longer be full of positivity as Spurs kick off, kicking from right to left in the first half, as they tend to do. And already trying to play a bit of football from the back. Van der Ven trying to beat his man, then plays one into the channel. Down the line, it goes off for a throw-in. Scott Rozelle says 14th is possible. I just think, I don't know, it's dangerous for Daniel Levy. But also, to play devil's advocate, I will also say there have been plenty of examples in the last few years where chairmen have got stick for sacking their manager when they're deemed to be doing well by kind of pundits and everyone says they're mad. And then actually it tends to work out or has worked out well. Aston Villa is one. Bournemouth is one with Gary O'Neill, I remember. Sleepy Mocker says, I feel Levy needs to either extend his contract or sack him. Not extending his contract will leave uncertainty going to next year. Yeah, I think you're right, although lots of other people will say that's what they did with Ten Hag. Al Jennings says also, I don't think Levy reads the room. I agree. Unfortunately, because of those sound issues, I missed the Guard of Honor from Brighton. But let me know. Did it happen? Let me know in the comments. By the way, guys, I'm on 55 seconds now. So if you want to play it at the same time as me, pause your... if you're less delayed than me, pause it wherever you are so that we're caught up. As Vicario plays a ball out to Big Kev Danso. Out to Porro. Matty Smith. Oh, chance nearly for Solanke going through there. Matty Smith says, I think we should keep him, bring some players and see how it goes. He's won a cup and it got us in the Champions League. Yeah, I completely agree. Good tackle in midfield there from Sarr. And actually, one of the Brighton players has gone down. So there's a bit of a stoppage. Joshua Jimenez says, the thing is, I don't like the comparison with Ten Hag and Ange, considering that Man United and Tottenham are completely different situations. Agree. And also, I would say that it was clear for a long time that the players weren't playing for Ten Hag, whereas it's clear here that they are. Listen, there is, of course, a chance as well that Levy is going to sit down with Postecoglou, and that hasn't happened yet. Maybe it'll be after this game. And like I said in one of my lives the other day, like kind of almost try and get him to pitch for his own job. He needs to talk about the injury situation, how he can stop that from happening again. And yeah, whether he can make a training regime or a way of playing on the pitch, a way that we're not going to get as many injuries. 150 of you nearly watching together now, guys. Thank you so much. As Brighton come through, it's going to be a chance here. Brighton have the first shot, and it's just wide of the left-hand post. It was a long ball, as ever. Opposition's trying to hit us on the long ball. Van der Ven was in situ though, and that put enough pressure on it. Basically, the long ball was headed on by Minter. And then, yeah, it was a good chance for Brighton in the second minute. I'm not making notes on what's happening in the game as yet. I think today I'm just going to be a bit calmer today. Oh, as Vicario just kicks it straight to a Brighton player. Tell does well on the left-hand side there, and he's breaking forward. Well done, Matthias. Will this be his last game for Spurs, I wonder, or will this be the start of a good career at Tottenham Hotspur? Joseph Weiss says, as an Aussie, like a lot of others, I started supporting Spurs when Ange started at the club. I would be disappointed if he gets sacked. And Joshua says, yes, the players are definitely with Ange, but also I would say Ange was changing a mentality. Ten Hag was meant to make United back to a big club during this time. Really good points, guys. I was just trying to say earlier, over 150 of you watching. Thank you, guys. If you could press the like button, that would be amazing. The more likes we get, the more Spurs fans get this in their suggested videos, and we can see more of them. And obviously, if you're not a subscriber, please do press that subscribe button too. As Vicario has the ball at his feet, plays it out to Kevin Danso, tries to break past his man, plays a nice ball in to the feet of Archie Gray. No, Porro in the inverted role. And now Archie Gray's taken up a good position wide right. Bit of a heavy touch, but lays it on to Johnson. Oh, lovely back heel down the line from Johnson. Oh, and it came into the box. And nothing came of it, unfortunately. And my stream buffered at just the wrong time. But Brighton now trying to play it out in the right back position. And Tell, while pressing, gives away a foul. Jen says, I don't think you can compare Ten Hag and Ange, completely different people in club situations. I think the problem Levy's got is, if he sacks Ange now, I said it earlier, but he will have to have a replacement lined up who makes the fans so excited that it will get them over the kind of feeling of, oh, Spurs doing something that people think is mad again. Gary says, anybody who makes Vicario captain has questions to answer. Well, he's just the fourth member of the leadership group and all the others are injured, so I don't think there's too much to worry about that. Scott Rizal says, I sincerely doubted him after Tamworth, and even I see that there's no way you sack him and start again. Oh, well played by Bentancur in the midfield. Picked it off. And here's a chance for Spurs. Running into the box, Bentancur. Gives it to Tell on the left. He's got players around him, though, from Brighton. Good cross from Tell, and that's a corner for Spurs. Good stuff. They don't look hungover, to be honest. Scott Rizal says that should have been a goal. Guys, if anything like a goal does happen, please don't comment about it right away, just because I'm probably on a little bit of a delay. I'm at 4 minutes 55 now. I don't want to see that there's a goal in the comments before there is. Obviously, I can't stop you, so it's up to you as to whether you want to wind me up. I'm sure a lot of you be tempted just to write goal over and over again now in the comments, and that's fine if you want to do that. But anyway, here comes the corner. It's a deep one. Oh, I tell you what. I think that was Van der Ven, was it, coming in with a nearly getting on the end of it, and a Brighton player is down as well. But Spurs have started this game well. Like I said, I did feel Spurs would approach this with a little bit of the handbrake off, a little bit of the pressure off. And that has certainly showed a little bit of itself in the start. There's a bit of tempo to it. It's a good delivery from Matthias Tell, you know. I don't know what's going to happen with Tell, you know. I know they'll try and renegotiate they'll definitely try and renegotiate the terms of the deal, I would have thought. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Thank you for your super chat, Tyler Lagachi. Really appreciate it. Big capital letter says Ange in. I think there is a groundswell of support for Ange now that definitely wasn't there before the final. Jinx Geek reports, says Tottenham is a club that looks to optimize everything for the eventual sale of the club, but the one thing they can't mess too much with is the fans. Sacking Ange will piss off fans and players. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, Levy, for a while now, because of this victory in the Europa League, has kind of got the fans off his back for a little bit. So it would be a very brave decision indeed to make a decision that would straight away get the fans potentially back on his back. As Van der Ven swipes one down the line into the channel. Solanke, as ever, pressing his nuts off. Matty Smith asks, Barnaby, what position should we strengthen in? I mean, I think we need creativity, don't we? Basically, definitely, from central midfield. I've said it a few times, still think we need to properly replace Eriksen and have someone there who can pressurize Maddison. Maddison won't be able to play 2 games a week. Great tackle in there from Archie Gray. And the ball comes to Tell. That was brilliant from Gray. Tell fronting it up. Oh, and he tries to shoot it into the far corner, Sonny style. And it's blocked. But beautiful. Archie Gray just made an absolute crunching tackle in midfield. And that really resonates with him, because I watched a video from one of his, it was Patrick Bamford, actually, his old teammate at Leeds, talking about when Archie Gray came into the first team training for the first time at the age of 14, and how he was, even though he had the body of a boy at the time, was swatting about in first team training, absolutely clearing players out with big tackles. And Archie Gray really did that just then. So that was brilliant. Andrew Cook says, Eza. Scott Rizal says, I've said it a dozen times, Tell should be central. Do you mean in like that 8-10 role? I don't know. We saw him, or do you mean the 9? We saw him in the 9 early on. He couldn't hold it up in the Premier League, really, in the 9, could he? That was the problem. Anyway, Vicario lays it out to Danso. Spurs are back in full Ange ball mode now, playing it down the wing to Johnson. Beautiful touch off from Johnson. And that is what I love to see, because I did mention I thought Johnson's confidence would improve after what happened last week, and that is a touch I haven't seen from him for a long, for maybe not even in his Spurs career, a kind of one-time touch rather than being a bit nervous and calm and pragmatic on the ball and taking a touch first. He laid it off first time. That was good. Nothing came from it at all, but it was good to see from him. He's clearly confident, and why wouldn't he be? James Dunn asks, whose last game is it for Spurs today? Scott Rizal says Davis and Sergio for sure. I thought we'd maybe talked about, or it had been discussed in the press, that Davis might have his 1 year added triggered. Pedro Porro coming to get the ball deep, which I like to see as well. Right centrally as well, Porro. Lays it back to Vicario. Vicario's going to have to swap that long, and he does, into midfield. Solanke trying to hold it up. He was fouled in midfield there, but not given. Joshua Jimenez makes a good point here. One thing we definitely need is a right winger to give Johnson competition. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Andrew Cook asked, what do you think is happening to the medical team this summer? I mean, I have so little knowledge about stuff behind the scenes and admin like that. You just don't know. You just got to hope and trust that Spurs are going to go about it the right way. But, you know, we had a medical team when Pochettino was manager, and Pochettino was known for his hardcore training, and we never had the injuries under him that we have had under Ange. Oh, Mickey van de Ven just made a huge headed clearance there under pressure. And good stuff from Bentancur, who started this game well, giving it off to Tell. So I'll stick to the fact that I kind of fear it's more about Ange's training, and the intensity he insists that Spurs play at in training and in games, rather than the medical department per se. As Vicario plays a dangerous ball out to Gray, who gets it first time out to Brennan, who does well to keep it. Spurs are playing some nice stuff in this game. Some really nice stuff. Stephen Hill says, need Delap. I do like Liam Delap. I really do like him. And Scott says, a striker needs to be our number one pickup. Ball down the line there from Udogie wasn't kind of telegraphed. And Brighton have a chance at a free cross here. They got to the byline. Van de Ven clears it at the front, but it comes back into the box. They're having a shot just over the bar. It was a good effort. Tom Bowder says, I'd use Richarlison's recent better performances to get a decent price for him. And Joshua asks, curious to ask about Cardoso. We still have that deal to consider about. So we have a £25 million, I think, or 30 million euro first dibs deal on Johnny Cardoso from Betis. Lots of people have been talking about him having played really well this season, and I saw a report that Man United are interested in him as well. So it'll be interesting to see whether anything comes of that in the six. Well played in midfield, Papsar. Oh, I'll tell you what, that was classic Papsar. He nicked the ball off them in midfield really well. And then when it came to doing the easy part, the technically, simple part, he gave it away. But then Bentancur nicks it off Brighton again, and it comes to Sarr, who lays it to Tell. His first touch is good there, Tell, and then gives it off once again to Bentancur, trying to use his body, but he loses it, unfortunately. Kevin 40K says, how's Mason Melia fitting in next season? Well, he doesn't come till next January, does he, the Irish talent? And he is just a young talent at the moment, so I don't think we need to worry too much about that at the moment. Obviously, also Vuskovic comes in the summer as well, the centre half. So we do have a few people coming in. The other thing to remember is we are, I believe, along with Man United, we owe the most money on transfers we've already made. So that will affect us as well. John Mansfield asks, could Porro be DM with Jed at right back? Probably not, I guess. Otherwise, it probably would have been tried by now. And Scott Rizal says, the American we have dibs on would be good for our number 6. That's Johnny Cardoso, as mentioned. 230 of you watching at the moment, guys. Thank you so much. Please do press that like button if you haven't already. Please do subscribe. It's 0-0, 11 minutes gone. Weejock Poopong McPlop in the comments, great name, says, honestly, can't believe Johnson has chucked his guts up yet. Oh, Spurs have just played a dodgy ball across the box. There's a shot from outside the box here, but well blocked from Van de Ven, who's already showing how important he is in this game so far. Brighton now have the ball down the left-hand side. Scribble Scrabble asks, who's the American? That's Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis, who we have a first dibs deal on. Spurs trying to press Brighton. They've still got the ball outside the box, though. Brighton in their all-yellow strip today. Spurs back in their domestic home kit of white shirts and navy shorts and white socks. And the Spurs fans are chanting the Mickey van de Ven game. Oh, but Brighton made it to the byline, got across him, but Kevin Danso did well to block it, and that's a corner to Brighton at the near post. There have, by the looks of things, been some goals. Let's have a look. in the other games. Palace 1-0 up at Liverpool, and that's the only goal so far. Let's see how Spurs deal with this corner. Oh, they've taken it short, Brighton. Now they're going to get the cross in late. And it goes all the way deep, and Udogie is... It's actually Kevin Danso who has seen that out for a throw-in. And Scott says, in answer to who is the American, Scott says, the guy that was the only good thing that came out getting rid of Lo Celso. Lo Celso, to me, didn't get on the pitch enough. Too many injuries. And I think he's had a fair few injuries at Real Betis. He started really well there, but he's had some injuries too. So I don't think necessarily that was a bad thing. Archie Gray does well in midfield, lays it out to Pedro Porro. Archie Gray looks into this at the moment. Porro tries to play a big, long paradise ball out to Tell, but wasn't able to find him. Brighton pick it off. Bit gutted because I actually got offered a ticket to go to this game in the end, but unfortunately I couldn't sort out the admin of my life. And I'm looking after my dog Lulu today. So, but still able to do the watch along with you, which is great. I've been loving the live streams over the last couple of days since the victory, and enjoying having you with me on this watch along, guys. Oh, well done in midfield there from Bentancur, but Udogie with a bit of a heavy touch. Unfortunately, it goes back to the Brighton keeper who kicks it long. A lot of you, or a few of you, talking about, oh, brilliant from Bentancur in midfield. And then a lovely pass out to Tell. That was top class from Bentancur. Tell now running into the box. Bit heavy touch, though. He's tackled, so he's going to need help here, Tell. Eventually gets it to Udogie. He gets it down, but that's lovely from Bentancur, who started this game beautifully, to be fair. Van der Ven on the ball now, lays it out to Kevin Danso. How do you feel about Van der Ven starting this game? Good ball from Danso out to Johnson. Oh, it's cut out, unfortunately. I wanted Van der Ven to be rested, really, but, mainly just because I'm desperate for him not to get injured. Spurs, they counter-press beautifully there, and Sarr slips in Matthias Tell. Real chance coming into the box on the left-hand side now for Tell. Again, it's a penalty to Tottenham Hotspur. Matthias Tell, let's hope there's some touch there. He beat his man on the outside, on the inside, coming narrow. Brighton are not complaining about this. I'm just going to turn off the, not turn off, but I'm just going to hide the comments for this because you guys will probably see this penalty before me. But it was beautiful stuff in midfield. Oh yeah, it's definitely a penalty. Tell's foot was stamped on. Tottenham have started this game well. And Solanke will have a chance to score another penalty for Spurs. Will he go down the middle again? I'm really excited by how Spurs have started this game. I did say I thought they would play with the shackles off. Listen, it is possible, I think, that how they play in this game will also affect Daniel Levy's decision. How mad is that? But they're showing that even with a few injuries out, well, about 5 or 6 injuries out, when the pressure's off, they can play beautiful football. Solanke is stepping up for this pen. Come on, Dom. Here he comes. Oh, he just roofs it down the middle, just places it right down the middle into the top of the roof of the net. Beautiful from Dom Solanke. I thought it was going over at one point. Absolutely magnificent. All of you in the comments giving it the big Dom. I did say, didn't I? I wonder if he'll go down the middle. They're just showing the replay now. Keeper dives out the way, and he just goes right in the roof of the middle of the net. And keeper dives out the way. Matty Smith says, nice one, Dom. And Scott Rozelle says, big Dom. Brilliant for him. I think Dom Solanke has been absolutely outstanding for Tottenham Hotspur this season. He's got stick from some of the fan base who, in my opinion, don't really understand what being a number 9 is all about, especially in a team like this. And we've barely made any chance for him. Mickey van der Ven does the arrow celebration with him. Come on, Spurs. I'd love us to put on a proper performance today. It's been a good start. Matty Smith agrees, says Dom works so hard. Completely agree with that. Brighton kickoff again. Lovely stuff. And good stuff from Matthias Tell. Let me know, guys in the comments. Where are you at Matthias Tell? You know, do you spend the money on him? It would be at least, I'm sure, £35 million. But that all started, as I remember it, from some great counter-pressing in midfield. And we've nicked the ball off Brighton so many times in midfield already. Well done, Kevin Danso in there. It's a big pressing battle in midfield this game so far. Josh Jimenez says, I see where you're coming from, but then again, with our long-term defence injuries, you have to move players in defence, having less options and opportunities for rotation. Scribble Scrabble says, to be fair, he couldn't sub half of our season. There wasn't enough players. I do think he'll be more pragmatic next season, though, and sub earlier. Yeah. If he gets next season. Oh, Brighton have nicked it off Brennan Johnson there, and they're coming at us again in midfield. But Bentancur working hard to push them backwards. And goes in for a big slide tackle. And the fans love that. And it actually deflects off the Brighton player and goes off for a Spurs throw. And Spurs fans love that. Jinx says, we need to see more of Tell to really tell. But 35 mil is like James says, yes, 50 is a no. I mean, 35 mil is basically the new 15 mil in this day and age. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we get him for. James Dunn says, Tell is still a boy. So much room for improvement. I agree. I think a lot of it will come down to whether he wants to stick around at the club. Scott Rizal says, Ange could have kept Ashley Phillips and chose to loan him. I mean, nothing from what I've seen or read says that Ashley Phillips is ready. I mean, let me know if you disagree, but he doesn't look ready for me. And Matty says, I just think we need much more depth as Porro plays one down the line. Solanke tries to hold it up. Doesn't quite manage to, but that was a good channel ball from Pedro. And here we go. Spurs have nicked it again. And Johnson gets an early ball and tries to chip one over the top to Tell, but there's a bit too much on it. Interesting one from here. Jinx says 13.5 mil for Rebrov. Tell ain't no Rebrov. I mean, Rebrov didn't do very well for Spurs either, I'm afraid, guys. But there you go. And Scott says 30 million tops. He just hasn't shown enough as a striker and especially not as a winger. He's a kid, though. He is a kid. And, you know, let's face it, he's been playing for one of the worst teams in the history of not just... Oh, I'll tell you what. Oh, Brighton nearly played themselves into big trouble just outside their box there. Archie Gray nearly nicked it off them, but not quite. And Spurs are putting Brighton under real pressure, and they're not enjoying it at the moment. And Ange is out of his box, giving it a big applause. And Tom Bowder says, we're currently, as it stands, in 14th position in the league, lol. Hilarious. City have gone one up at Fulham, Brentford one up at Wolves. And here come Brighton again, coming into the box, cutting inside. Danso got in a good position, pushes him backwards. And then Archie Gray nicks it off him. He's had a good start to this game, Archie. Ball comes out wide left for Brighton. Brighton having more possession at the moment. Spurs playing a bit transitionally on the counter press. D says, wow, Gray is playing so well. I agree. Joshua asks, what are some first players you would sign from the top of your head, Bonby? I don't know, really. I mean, I've said for 2 years, Eza. I like Semenyo, but I think it is going to be hard for us to buy those kind of players. From other English clubs. So I think there'll be a lot of players, Bergvall-esque kind of young talents, and then we'll maybe get one or maximum two of those kind of marquee English club signings, hopefully. Tom Bowder says £3.1 million more prize money for each place in the league. David Jones says, gutted I can't watch the final game, especially when Man United is showing. Yeah, sorry about that. It's because there's not much in this at the moment. Martin says about Tell, try getting another loan for him for spending that much on him. I wonder if Bayern would be open to that. Seems unlikely. I mean, I guess if it takes some of the money off the Kane money that they owe us, that's probably where that could be a deal. Guys, we're 6 away from 100 likes. If you haven't pressed that like button and you're enjoying the feed, please do press that like button, guys. Let's get it seen by as many Spurs fans as possible. Joshua says, for me, I'd love to sign Eza and one of Semenyo or Mbuemo. Maybe Cardoso as well. Yeah, they all seem to make sense. They've definitely been on our list. As Brighton make it down to the byline, Bentancur puts in a big 50-50 and it was offside anyway. And Joshua rightly says, considering we're in the Champions League next season, we're more likely to sign Eza, aren't we? Yes, I'd say so. But it will be, I think, more about which other clubs go for him. Will a Man City go for him, for instance? Who knows? 22 minutes gone. Tottenham 1, Brighton 0. Vicario goes long with that free kick into halfway. It's flicked on by Sarr, and and Tell nearly got in there. Yeah, and he gets a foot to the face there, Tell, and that wins a free kick for Spurs. Yeah, Scott Rizal asked about David from Lille, Jonathan David. He's been talking to, I think, 4 or 5 Premier League clubs at least. So Spurs will be in for him for sure. I mean, they'll be in for a lot of those kind of free transfers. That's for sure. You know, that's where Levy and Langer like to live, basically. Matty asked, what about Lautaro Martinez from Inter? That's not going to happen, unfortunately. Do you remember how excited the Spurs fans were a few years ago where it looked like we might be able to get him? And James Dunn says Yamal would be the best signing. Well, it seems unlikely Lamine Yamal will come to Spurs, but he is a Spurs fan, I believe. There have been lots of pictures of him wearing Tottenham tracksuits. Anyway, this will be a free kick bent in by Matthias Tell. He's got a lot of responsibility on the set pieces today, which is good for him. Brighton keeping their defensive line about 16 yards out. Here it comes. Hits the first man. Comes out to Archie Gray outside the box. Tries to dink one over, but it's too heavy, straight through to the goalkeeper. Yeah, Al Jennings says Damiao and David Villa. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely them. Scott Rizal says, if we spent really big money on Eze and he gets hurt, those types of players are too big a risk for Spurs. Joshua says, oh yeah, we definitely need a striker as well because I'm pretty sure Richarlison will be sold in the summer. I do really like the guy. His injuries just aren't sustainable. I agree, unfortunately, on Richarlison. I love him too, and he's really enjoyed winning that trophy for Spurs. He's been celebrating so much, but he just doesn't get on the pitch enough. But in reality, if no one is willing to spend the money that we need for him, then he'd make a good squad player next season for sure. 25 minutes gone. Tottenham 1, Brighton 0. What I've been impressed with from Spurs so far today has been their counter-pressing, and they want to win the ball back early. Oh, early cross from Brighton there. Comes to the back post, as it always will. But Udogi's in a decent space, and then they cross it again to the back post. And actually, Brighton then had 3 players at the back post fighting for the same header. So you can see again, can't you, where Brighton are looking to make Spurs suffer. Kevson asked, how is a hungover Spurs winning this? Because there's no pressure on this game. Spurs, I said it in my live streams. I thought Spurs might win this game quite easily. It doesn't mean that they definitely will, but with no pressure on it, they're playing pretty well and the tempo's pretty good. Brennan Johnson trying to get up for a header in midfield. Oh, it's actually Archie Gray, sorry. Got confused by his curly hair. And Porro now brings it forward. And he's trying a paradise ball over the top towards Tell, but it's cut out. That was never really on Pedro, unfortunately. Jinx says, no pressure, no problem. Agreed. Brighton go long, looking to go over the top of Danso, who's fouled. Got his body in the way really well there, Kevin Danso. I do like the look of Kevin Danso, especially, I mean, everybody looks great alongside Mickey van der Ven, but he's quick enough, Danso, and he's smart enough, and he gets his body in the way well. All of that he's just as good at, if not as good as Romero, but where he just falls down on Romero is that Romero's play with the ball at his feet is absolutely elite. But you're not going to find many centre-backs as good as that. So Van der Ven now turns away, nearly slips over and is fouled. He was fouled. Scott says, I truly believe the Europa win is the tonic we need for every game in the near future. And James Dunn says, I found it very interesting in Ange's press conference. He wanted to improve the squad and probably needed to bring in experience. Yeah, he did talk about bringing in experience. And I think that's right, realistically. Matty Smith asks, is Danso on loan? It's an obligation. So Danso is a Spurs player, basically. John Lancaster says, did you resist the Chit King after standing outside for 6 hours on Friday? I did resist. I'd already eaten. I actually ate a barbecue at the Beehive, and it was very good, actually. The Beehive's a great pub. Vicaria now being pressed a little bit, gives it to Van der Ven. Oh, he tried to use his pace to break past 2 players, but did well enough to get some help from Bentancur, gives it to Doggy. Some lovely football in midfield from Spurs there, and Sarr does well to keep the ball. And he gives it ahead to Doggy, who might have been offside there, and is, unfortunately. But that was lovely stuff in midfield. It was a beautiful little flicked back heel. Al Jennings says, I think it all hangs on Paratici walking through the door. That would be Ange gone. And to be honest, I trust in Paratici to do the right thing. Yeah, but Paratici did try and appoint Gattuso as manager, as well as a few other odd choices. And in the end, it was even talked about that when we went for Conte, it wasn't Paratici's choice, it was Levy's choice. But so let's see what happens. But Spurs again playing well through midfield here. And Porro just not able to get the good final ball out to Sarr. Brighton trying to ping it about, and they do well to get out of the press. They're in down the wide left now, but Johnson was there actually in a good position helping out his fullback, and their cross goes out for a throw-in. Andy 1950 asked, what about Grealish? Not for me. I don't want us to go for players who are on massive wages elsewhere and have had their big move and probably looking for just one more contract. Joshua asked, Barnaby, do you think there is any chance that we could maybe keep Romero for next season? I think we're more likely to do anything next season. We need Romero. Yeah, there's a chance, and it will be based on whether one of Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid are willing to pay what Daniel Levy would accept. I guess the only issue is whether Levy has said to Romero, you know, you can go with our blessing. Oh, they were nearly in there, Brighton, but Kevin Danso did really well to get it out for a corner. If Levy's done a deal with him where he says you can go with my blessing if we win that trophy or whatever, don't know, but they'll need to pay good money for sure because we paid big money for Romero. So we'll need to get that money back and more. Scott says, our organisation looks remarkably good. Again, I think it's the Europa carryover effect. Yeah. I mean, I think Ange would tell you that basically when you got Mickey van der Ven playing, you pretty much always play well. This is just some pulling and tugging in the box as we wait for this corner to come in for Brighton. Scribble Scrabble says, I don't want Romero to leave. No, I don't think any of us want Romero to leave, do we? I think he'd be happier to stay now that we're in the Champions League if none of those deals come off. But I think it's pretty clear he does want to go to Real or Atletico. But let's see what happens. Corner comes in. Flicked at the near post. Good save from Vicario. Scoops it high in the air and then cleared. And then there's going to be a chance for a shot on the edge of the box. Comes out wide. And it's blocked by Archie Gray well. So that was an in-swinging corner that was flicked at the near post. Got a good header on it. And Vicario, it's a save he would have wanted to make above him, and he kind of palmed it into the air, and then Spurs were able to clear. And now Spurs pressing high. And Sarr gives away a foul. Yeah, Scott also says Sarr is looking good for a second game in a row. I agree with that. I imagine he didn't get wasted in all the partying due to his beliefs. Yeah, probably. Kevin says, Romero shithousery in the final against Harry Maguire was amazing. Loved it. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, you'd expect, they're just showing the replay, you'd expect Vicario to make that save. I mean, arguably he could have caught it, but he didn't take a risk. And now the ball's at Vicario's feet. He's wearing the purple goalkeeper kit today, which I actually really like. He actually picks the ball up. This will be the last time Vicario will be able to keep the ball in his hands for that long, because next season a rule is coming in, isn't it? About, 4 or 6 seconds? I'm not sure. Vicario tries to dink one into midfield towards Solanke, but Spurs lose it there. Brighton pressing Tottenham really high when Vicario has it. Another chance in the United Villa game, apparently, but no goals so far. Good balls from Brighton. Brighton are a good football team, sure. Oh, Bentancur has just kicked one of their players who's rolled on the floor. Jude says QT would stay if we're building something to compete for big things now. Don't know. I think QT does want to go to Spain, but he'll have to wait for the right offer, that's for sure. And Jinx says Romero was a titan. That winding up Maguire was the best trolling I've seen. The frustration was showing so well. What I loved about it is just, I can't remember that many times, probably not since the days of Dele Alli, where we had the player winding up the opposition and we were making it scrappy and we were making it ugly for them, rather than the other way round. And it's a big reason why we won the game. And long may it continue. Anyway, here comes a free kick on the right from the right-hand side. Brighton put it into the box. Oh, it's a good little run at the near post there. And they've then chipped it up to the back post. Cleared by Danso, I think it was. Comes to the edge of the box. Spurs counter-pressing with Bentancur and forcing them all the way back here. Lovely from, I think it was Tell and Bentancur there. Ryan Law says, at least with the win, it adds extra value to QT's fee. That's true. And Scott says Rodrigo's looking good today. And he did get loaded and all that partying. Yeah, listen, in my opinion, like they're elite athletes. So they had a day off yesterday. That's more than enough to get over a couple of days of boozing, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I had a day off drinking yesterday and I feel great. And I'm not going to booze again until tonight. Where I'm hoping after this watch along, I'll do a post-match reaction after this watch along. Actually, will I do a post-match reaction? Yeah, mate, I probably will. I was just thinking because I'm not writing down any notes. Will I remember what went on? But after I do a post-match reaction, I'm hoping to go up to Tottenham and go and meet my friend Joey, who's at the game, for a few drinks in one of the bars on the Tottenham High Road. I think the atmosphere around there will be amazing tonight, whatever happens in this game. So Vicario lays it out to Van der Ven, a.k.a. Rolls Royce. He plays it down the line to Tell in a good position here. And he's trying to front up his man there, Tell. So it's just flicked off a Brighton player for a throw-in. Kevson says, news to the channel, mate. How did you feel when Spurs won the Europa League? The aftermath almost felt as big as a Champions League win. Mate, totally. Listen, you know, if you hear of any other fans of other clubs having a go at us for only winning a second-rate European competition, bear in mind, Woolwich Arsenal have never won that competition, as far as I'm aware. The only European competition they've won, I think, is the Cup Winners' Cup that doesn't exist anymore and was the kind of third-rate European competition. So Spurs have never won a better competition than the UEFA Cup or what is now the Europa League. So listen, there's nothing bad about it. It's absolutely fantastic. Listen, is there a possibility we could win a Champions League or a Premier League? Yes. But is it unlikely? Yes. We're trying to build towards it, you know, through infrastructure and growing the club and everything. But I've never thought we'd win the Europa League. Great defending from Brennan Johnson on the right. He's helping out Porro so much here. Archie Gray just loses the ball on the edge there, but Johnson helps him out again and then is fouled. Johnson, I think, already in this game showing more confidence than he has for Spurs in his pretty much his entire Spurs career and the way he's trying to get involved in the game. I'm really enjoying it. Ryan Law says, Barnaby, you're going to do an end-of-season review also on his player ratings, stay going, who you'd like to see come in. Yeah, probably will at some point. Tomorrow, I think, as long as my hangover allows, but me and Sean from Spurs talk show are going to have a little chat as they cut to Sonny on the bench, who's enjoying some of the songs that the fans are singing. And Sleepy Mocker says, Son wearing shorts and a Burberry jacket, elite level. Yeah. I actually enjoyed the clips of Sonny's parents from the final where his mum looked like she was wearing a lovely Burberry jacket. Martin says, Super Cup incoming maybe. Yeah, that Super Cup final is 3 days before the start of the Premier League. So hopefully the Premier League will help Spurs out there and give them maybe the first Monday night game to give them some rest after it. Oh, I'm buffering. What the hell? I hate it when it buffers. Oh, no. Okay, we're back. I'm on 36 minute 28 now, guys, just in case you're trying to be the same time. Southampton fans, apparently, according to Paula Wilkinson, singing Tottenham Hotspur, they've won more than you to the Arsenal fans. Loving it. Loving it. And Epec20 saying, imagine if we win the Super Cup. I know, it'd be incredible. Absolutely. I actually really remember when we got into that Champions League final, just thinking, oh my God, wouldn't it be mad? Not only that we won the Champions League, but then we'd be in the Super Cup final. Well, now we will be, and I'm here for it. I am here for it. Guys, thank you so much to all of you watching. Really enjoying having you here with me. Do press that like button if you haven't already. The sound is cut off of my feed, but Brighton have a corner. Vicario just trying to move his defenders around. Don't know where the sound's gone. It's going to be an outswing corner, I think. Still ref holding it up. Mike Barrow asks, you and Sean Butler talking business. What do you mean by that, Mike? No, we're just going to... I went on his channel last week. He's coming on mine. We're going to hopefully do some regular stuff. I really like Sean. We come at being a Spurs fan from similar viewpoint. Kind of try and be glass half full. Here comes the outswinging corner, in fact. It's cleared at the near post. And then, oh, beautiful on the outside of the box from, I think it was Tell, but he's gone down. But now Spurs are on the break. They've got 3 forward, but Bentancur's got to pick the right ball here. And he wasn't able to, but it's actually broken forward. And now we're in with Tell. Oh, Tell on his left foot. Should have scored. The keeper made a good save, but he should have scored, really. You know that Tell, it was played to him. He's on the inside left. And then I think Pap Sarr has been booked from the break. But Tell was only about 9 yards out, and he goes across the keeper with his left foot. You know he's right-footed, and he always wants to have it on his right foot to try and put in the far corner. But he wasn't able to get it out of his feet, so he goes left-footed, and the keeper makes a save. And then it looked like, I guess, Brighton were on the break. And I hope this isn't a red card here. Oh, it's Bentancur. Oh, no, it won't be a red card. It is late as you like it, though. I love Rodrigo Bentancur. I love him. Etu says he should have scored. Scott says not a red card. That is the most Rodrigo Bentancur challenge of all time. I'm just going to flick back to a different feed because I want some sound, if possible. Not getting any feed at the moment. Scott says should have scored again. Not worth more than 30 million unless he shows that you can play more than one position well. Scribble Scrabble says you can see that Romero and Bentancur are best mates. Okay, I've got some sound back now. Boom. Ryan Law says I'm a bit late to the party, but does anyone know why Son is completely missing? Yeah, he's still struggling with his injury apparently. So Ange has let him and Romero not play. Trini says get Tell out of this club. He's a kid. I don't think that's a bit much. Anyway, Brighton look dangerous down the left now. Good block from the cross from Porro. Comes back to Brighton. Johnson working hard with Porro on that side. They get it wide again, Brighton. They try an early across this time. Well played, stretched by Archie Gray to block it out. He's having a good start to this game. Oh, and then Sarr has just played a horrible short pass that has gone straight out of play. Again, with Sarr, sometimes his technique just lets him down, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, some people talking about Solomon in the comments. Mano Solomon, I think, will probably get his... he'll get bought by Leeds, and I imagine we'll get at least kind of 20 million for him, which will be 20 million pounds of pure profit, considering we picked him up on a free. And one of Daniel Levy's dodgy deals where Shakhtar Donetsk got nothing for him because of the Ukraine war. Daniel Levy did obviously offer them a friendly, so that was kind of him. Anyway, Brighton on the ball, but Spurs have had the best chances, I'd say, and have scored one through Dom Solanke's penalty, which he went straight down the middle. Brighton in down the left again now, running at Brennan Johnson, who again does better than I've seen him do for so long defensively. And then a weird outside of the boot cross-field pass from Pedro Porro, and Brighton have the ball again. Spurs being a little bit complacent here. And here comes a cross, cleared well by Big Kev Danso. Again, they're going everything down the left-hand side, Brighton, as a lot of our opposition have all season. Big long cross, and Tell actually does well to flick it on. That is a corner. Arsenal have taken the lead at Southampton through Kieran Tierney. Joshua says, I don't think it's on Ange for not giving Solomon a chance. He was injured for basically a whole season after getting him. I think Ange needed Solomon to get game time for a season reassess. Yeah, I think you're probably right. But he's done really well at Leeds, Solomon. So you would have thought they will try and make him one of their first signings. And he has had Premier League experience. Here comes the corner. It's an in-swinger. It's deep. Brighton get the first one, but then Vicario comes out and claims. And just puts his hands on it for a bit here. Joshua says, I think Solomon would be a great option, but I think it's up to Ange, or if we get a new manager to see if it's worth taking a risk again. And Vicario just backing off with the ball here, now looking for a short option, but yeah, in the end finds Danso on the right. Brighton pressing high, so Danso goes down the line towards... Well, and that's not bad, because Solanke now has picked it up in the channel and is driving forward. I love this. He's like a bull. And he keeps the ball and goes back to Brennan, who does well to keep it, and goes back to Porro. Cuts inside 2 Brighton players and then lays it back. So Spurs have some good possession here. Van der Ven on the halfway line. Gives it to Doggy. Lays it out wide to Tell. Puts his foot on it. Comes narrow. Trying to turn his man. He's being fouled, but he goes back to Van der Ven. and goes to Kev Danso on the right-hand side. We're just by the halfway line. Goes out wide there to Brennan Johnson, who's got Archie Gray's made a run down the line, but doesn't find him. Goes back to Danso and now to Van der Ven. It wasn't a great pass, and but he opens it up beautifully for Pap Sarr, who finds Tell. This is good football from Spurs and finds Udogie down the left-hand side. He's got a man with him. Goes back to Tell. This is quite a tactical game, actually. I'm enjoying it. Pap Sarr. He gives it easy back to Van der Ven. Spurs getting their first bit of kind of consecutive possession for a while. Brighton are a hard-working team off the ball. Tell again tries to find Udogie down the line, but it's flicked off for a Spurs throw. Udogie is going to take it. Van der Ven now will go back to Vicario, I'm sure. I wonder if Van der Ven's going to get all 90 minutes here or whether Ben Davis will come on. As Vicario lays it out to Bentancur, goes to the right to Danso, goes down the line to Archie Gray, flicks it round the line to Johnson. This beautiful play from Spurs. And Porro would have been in, but Johnson's ball, unfortunately, was just blocked from Brighton player. But Tottenham playing some lovely stuff today. 43 minutes gone. We've got just over a minute until half-time. West Ham have gone 1-0 up at Ipswich to the lesser-spotted James Ward-Prowse. Wonder if it was a free kick, because if it was a free kick, that would have been... I think he's still chasing Beckham's record of free kicks, isn't he? I'm older than Sam, says Johnson has saved a year's worth of defensive effort for Bilbao today. I agree. It's really up for this today. I think, like I said, I think his confidence will just have absolutely massively grown. And we'll maybe see more of the best of him next season. Brighton now coming through down the right. Bentancur working hard. He's on a booking now, though. He was tempted to slide in there, but so he couldn't. But he does well to force Brighton backwards. And they try and play one between the lines. Bentancur blocks it well. Good football team. They're in at the byline here now, Brighton. Cutting in. Tell gets a good touch on it, and then Tell's in a good position again. But Brighton still come back with it. And then chipped into the box, but Kevin Danso. The ball is kind of attracted to his head, Kevin Danso, a lot of the time. Well done by Solanke in midfield here. Bit of a scrap. Oh, and then a good tackle, unfortunately, in midfield. So let's lose it. And then they're in down the left here, Brighton. Oh, and a red card for the keeper, Martinez, as a cross came in, actually. And Vicario does really well to claim the cross, diving out kind of horizontally. So Martinez for Aston Villa has been sent off just before half-time. And Aston Villa, of course, need a victory at Old Trafford to have a good chance of making Champions League football. And Martinez getting sent off will not help that. Kevson says, Danso working hard today. Yeah, he's been great. And Scott Rizal says, good catch, Vic. Do that every time. Yeah, completely agree. Long ball comes out to Solanke. Oh, it's a bit of a clash of heads there for Dom. He's gone down. Ryan Law says, a touch of success and winning should give these players a taste for more. They should have a hunger for it now. I completely agree. Long may it continue. Scribble Scrabble, you've obviously seen what happened to Martinez. If you're watching the game, can you let us know in the comments what he got the red card for? Was he out of his box? What exactly happened? Was it handball outside the box? It's going to be a sore one for Dom Solanke because the Brighton centre-half kind of headed the back of his head. There's only 1 minute added time. Scribble Scrabble says, yes, Martinez ran out of the box. Kaladiva says, Tell is not worth buying. We can spend it on someone much more convincing. I think when you're buying potential, you've got to just be smart. Very rare, remember this, that players, and this is only my opinion, it's all subjective, very rare that players come from foreign leagues, no matter what age they are, but especially when they're young, and that's half time, by the way, especially when they're young, it's very rare that they come from foreign leagues and immediately settle into the Premier League. That is why I think we need to give Tell some more time. Okay, I'm just seeing the Martinez thing there, and it's Højlund. It's Højlund who takes it round him. And Højlund is, he's taking it round him. He's miles out of goal. But there were defenders in the middle, and Martinez looks surprised that he's been sent off for this. Kieran Proper says, I really love Tell, his drive, and he looks like he wants to be on the ball all the time. He will improve. Yeah, I agree. So Villa have had to take off Marco Asensio as well now to bring on their sub-keeper. Joshua asked, which players have stood out to me so far? In today's game, I've been impressed with Johnson. I've been impressed with Gray. I've been impressed with Danso. Obviously, I love Mickey van der Ven. I'd actually quite like him to take Mickey van der Ven off. I'm just so nervous about him getting injured before summer. I just want him to have an amazing summer. Jude, actually talking about what I was saying about stats. Jude says there's stats that just under 50% of transfers actually work out. And you can probably add percentage points onto that when it comes to players coming from foreign leagues who are not used to the Premier League. So I think, not only do I think Tell is worth spending money on, I think he will end up being a great player, but I also think I trust those around the club to make the right decision based on what they see in training every day, as well as what we've seen in games. He's been playing in a horrible team. Blake says, can't sign Tell for anything over 40 mil, though. I'm just going to go into Twitter and see what the Spurs Twitterati are saying about that first half performance. Billy T, who you should follow if you don't on Twitter and TikTok, he's brilliant. He says, clubs spend literally millions on sports science and nutritionists only for a pissed-up Spurs side to play better than they have all season after a 3-day bender. Yeah, but no surprise to me at all, to be honest. It'd be interesting to see whether we drop off at all in the second half, but no surprise once the pressure's off. And the Fighting Cocks Twitter account say Bentancur was completely pissed on Friday and completely everywhere in this game so far. Completely. Anyway. Moose City, thank you so much with a super chat. Says, come on, you Spurs. I was going to ask, how do you feel about Tell? Would you sign him or look for a Shirky or Mbeumo? I think we should sign Tell, but I also think we should still be looking for a Shirky or an Mbeumo. I think we need more options in that forward line. We need more. Brennan Johnson's having a great game today, and he looks far more confident, but we need some more potential options in terms of pace to challenge him on the right. I know, obviously, Kulusevski can play on the right. But in general, I just think we need more options with kind of, we've been talking about it for a long time. And obviously, Odebear can do this, but kind of almost like, as the extra inch boys would say, kind of dribbly winger vibes. Players who can do something a bit different. And then we just need players who are going to be fit as well. That's where the Richarlison conversation comes in. Brilliant player, workhorse, started that final, did really well. Love him, but just doesn't get on the pitch enough. And considering Ange has already got rid of players like, Gio Lo Celso for that reason, I'd be tempted, I'm afraid, to say, if we got a good bid from, say, Everton for Richarlison, I'd be tempted to say maybe it's time, but let's see what happens. Blake says, I think it's an insight to how important that backline is to success at Spurs. It's simple. Without that combination at the back, we do not win. Well, actually, I'd say Kev Danso has played really well today. I think he's going to have a really good future at Tottenham Hotspur. He's not an ego player at all, is he? He's a worker bee. Like that sounds like he's a midfielder. He's just a strong man, and the ball kind of gets attracted to his head. Plumdrew says should be 2-0. Yeah, Tell did have a great chance, but that's okay. Phil C says Tell is quality. Gary Davis says, I'm in Canada, my TV picture is gone. And Wolf Mauler. So there's a bit of a cross section of feelings about Matthias Tell, but he's a young kid. Wolf Mauler says, I haven't liked what I've seen from Tell. He goes down way too much as well. Whereas Jude says, you can't question Tell's character. He's one of the few players who spoke to the press during our poor run. Agreed. And I think character is a big thing too. And one area where I really do trust Ange is on picking players who have good character and who want it. So, yeah, let's see what happens. But listen, the first question, is going to be what happens to Ange. Yeah, I read out Daniel Levy's end of season notes at the start of this stream, and to say that he is underwhelming about Ange Postecoglou would be a bit of an understatement. Rubayet says, hi Barnaby, how are you? Which final 3 teams do you think will qualify for the Champions League? Do you think 8th place will get Europe next season? Not sure how it works with Europe in the 8th place, but let's have a look where we are with the Champions League places at the moment. So as it stands, City 3rd, Newcastle 4th, Chelsea 5th, Villa 6th, and Forest 7th. So it's 0-0. Am I right? At Chelsea, at Forest against Chelsea. Yeah, 0-0. That's how Forest will want it. You'd think they just want to keep it tight and try and nick a goal at some point. Villa, having gone down to 10 men, looking unlikely. You'd have to say that they're going to get into that 5th place at the moment. But if Chelsea were to concede a goal at Forest, Forest would jump both of those teams into 5th as it stands. I don't know. My instinct is that it'll probably just not work out for Forest, but I kind of hope it does. Be fascinating to see. I think their drop-off in the Premier League would be quite something next season if they had to play Champions League as well. But let's see what happens. I've got no feed at the moment. But it's half-time, so hopefully it'll sort itself out in the second half. What else are you guys saying? Loving this feed at the moment, guys, by the way. If you haven't pressed that like button already, please do press like. The more likes we get, the more Spurs fans' suggested videos this watch-along will get into. Also, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, do subscribe. In the bottom right-hand corner should be the subscribe button. Daily Tottenham Hotspur content. And then starting this week, it will be transfer talk. Always starting with Spurs, the transfer rumours, and then other Premier League transfer rumours as well. Jack says, is Ange playing a bit more like how he set up versus Bodo with Porro and Udogie not being so aggressive on the attack? It just seems, I wouldn't say necessarily that. It just seems like there's a better tempo to Spurs than there has been in the Premier League for a while. And the pressure's off, the shackles are off, and they know how to play how Ange wants them to play. There are, of course, there have been some times where, Brighton have got to the byline and the back post has looked a little bit unmarked, but Tottenham have made the best chances, I think. Kieran Proper says, give Johnson a couple of beers a day before every game if he's going to defend like this and score goals. I think it's his confidence, mate. Honestly, I've talked about it in a couple of my live streams since the final. I think his confidence is going to go skyrocket now, and he's going to become much more of a player. Malaysia Playa, thank you for your super chat. Says, what's Ange's pitch to Levy to keep his job? I think it should be that he has delivered what his obligations, is that the right word? Or what he was asked to deliver for the season. Champions League football and ideally a trophy. And he's done both. And I think he can then say, these are the reasons why we've had so many injuries. And this is the way that I'm going to change things in the hope that it doesn't get us so many injuries next season. These are the kind of players I think we need to strengthen the squad to compete on 2 fronts next season. And the players are still playing for me. The reality about top-level management is very often when the manager gets sacked, it's because the players have stopped playing for him. And the chairman knows that because they'll talk to some of the senior players in the squad. So the reason Ange still has his job and got to that Europa League final with his job is because the players were still with him. So I think that's what the pitch would be. Moose City, thank you so much for your super chat again. Says, something I was thinking about is, do we need to start treating Madders like we did with Rafa? Give him 60, 65 minutes every game, then sub him off and find a really solid sub for him. Yes and no. I'd say what we need to do is find somebody who's not just a really solid sub for him, but somebody who can really push him for a starting place, like a young version of him, a Ryan Shirky. I keep going back to, this thing where I feel like we never properly replaced Christian Eriksen. When we got Christian Eriksen, I had been watching Christian Eriksen for about 5 years already, and he was only about 22, 23 when we bought him. And he was a little maestro, a little genius, and we need someone as creative as that. We do. We look a little functional at times. So I think that's something I would be looking at personally. I'm older than Sam, says, Ange has motivated the squad. I agree with that. I think they've been motivated in the important games. Blake says, Barnaby, do you think we should keep Ange? Should stay for at least the first 10 games next season. He's earned that last chance. Yes, I do. I think he's earned the chance to show how he's evolved as a manager at this elite level. And I hope that's what happens. I just fear for the positivity around. And also, I guess, I can't think of a manager that Levy would have to bring in. Listen, if Levy sacks him, then you'd have to think, based on how bad the form has been in the Premier League, you would have to think that he would have somebody lined up almost to come straight in the next day or to be announced the next day, as he did with Mourinho and Pochettino. But I can't think of a man, and let me know if you're different, I can't think of a man that would unite the Spurs fan base the day after they sacked Ange for the fan base not to get on Levy's back. So I think he's in a. I think Levy's in a very difficult position. A1 Star says, who you got your eye on to rival Maddison? Well, like I said, I like the look of Ryan Shirky from Lyon, but a lot of teams are going in for him. Then he said, I want Spurs to go for Modric. Not for me. I think our days of buying players who, like I said, have been on huge wages at massive clubs and are just looking for one more contract are gone. I don't think Luka Modric is the answer personally. Listen, my heart would love it if Modric came through the door as an experienced player, but I can't see it happening. Moose asks, isn't Shirky a winger? He can play all across that kind of front line in the 10 or either side. So that's another reason he might be good. OJF says, if Ange is sacked, the only person I would gratefully accept is Poch. I agree, and Pochettino will not be available this summer. He's coaching America's men's national team, and they have the World Cup at home next summer. So that, for me, is another reason why if you are Daniel Levy, you keep Ange, and in the knowledge that Pochettino might be available next summer if it goes wrong. But let's see what happens. Walnut 1999 says, I don't see us extending Ange's contract. Remember our Premier League record, for God's sake, but bring him back. And Moose says, I've heard Shirky has a bit of an ego. Yeah, I don't know much about that, to be honest, mate. Jude says, OMG, Ericsson, a big miss, and a Dembele would be epic. Yeah, completely agree. Rubayet says, hi, Barnaby. From next season, I want you to do live watch-alongs on your channel rather than some other channels. I really want your channel to grow. All the best, brother. Oh, thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. Tom Green says, apparently there's a spare trophy cabinet going cheap if you need it. You must collect Emirates Stadium as the address. Scott says, Ange does not have to worry about his job. I was wanting him out after Tamworth, but I think he was always focused on winning Europa. Well, that will be an important thing. Listen, we don't know, but Ange and Levy may have had the conversation a few months ago where it's like, okay, we're going to put all our eggs in the Europa League basket. And if that's the case, then Levy can't sack him because he's done exactly what he said. Mr. Pete Symes says, Ange's pitch will be take it or leave it, mate. It may well be. It may well be. NET1me, thank you so much for your super chat. Really appreciate it. So someone will make a movie out of this. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Wolf Mauler says, I'm afraid if Ange is sacked, Levy won't invest in the team and expect the next manager to better our existing squad's league form with vague promises of future signings. We know how that goes. Wolf, I will just say, you have to see that since 2019, no matter whether you want to know this or not, Daniel Levy has spent the third most amount of any Premier League team, I think behind Chelsea and Man United. So it's not about spending. He has been spending, I'm afraid. It's just now it's been about having to rebuild the squad from where it was. You know, the painful rebuild that Pochettino talked about 6 years ago, and Ange is having to be in charge of that. And that should be taken from Daniel Levy as something to think about when thinking of whether to dispense with his services or not. Jack says, I like Jacob Ramsey of Villa. He's versatile and Villa need to sell for FFP. If they don't get in the Champions League, I've heard that there is a good chance they're going to have to properly sell. And of course, Martinez looks like he's played his last game for Villa probably. So Spurs have had a lot less possession, 63% to 37. 9 shots to Brighton, 3 to Spurs. 2 on target for Spurs, though, and 1 to Brighton. Expected goals, though, Spurs, many more, 1.47. Scribble Scrabble, thank you so much, mate, for your super chat. Thank you. Says, a beer for you later, Barnaby. Well-deserved. Great watch long. I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Loving doing these live streams for you. Loving these watch-alongs. I think my plan will be from the summer is that most of the time I will try and do my daily videos live, which will be kind of Premier League transfer videos, always starting with the Tottenham transfer talk and, of course, all the other Tottenham news, live at midday GMT, so midday UK time. So if you're looking to watch me live and get involved in the comments every day as we do what will be hopefully lots of really exciting content, seeing about who Spurs are going to buy and seeing what the latest Tottenham news is, as well as other Premier League transfer news, then keep an eye out for my live shows most middays. When I can't do them at midday, I will put them out non-live at other times. It looks like Matoma is going to come on for Brighton. Now, Matoma, oh, what a beautiful player he is. I just don't think Tottenham would be able to afford him, unfortunately. Thomas Marlian, sorry if I'm getting that wrong, says Matoma coming on. He's good. Oh, so good. Such a good player. Mr. Pete Symes says, Ange will have a list of names of the positions he needs with options that won't be too much money. Best result is Levy listens and actually does that business early instead of waiting for pound shop bargains. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Kieran Proper says, if I was Ange, I'd say, ask any 5 players in the team and ask them if they want me to stay or not. I think Daniel Levy will do his due diligence, and he will know how the team feel. That's for sure. Plush Teddy says, someone on Instagram said we should play more drunk. Jinx has made a good point about Sonny actually here. So if Son is done, say next year, let Ange and Son cook it out for the season. Be interesting to see what happens with Son Heung-min. Talked a little bit back in January and maybe last summer about the potential of him getting a move to someone like Barcelona. They had a lot of success with Lewandowski getting in there kind of in his 30s. Listen, if Sonny gets a bid from a club where he wants to go and get one last contract, especially if it's a big club like that, then absolutely, I think we say to Sonny, with our blessing, mate, with our blessing. He's always been honest about wanting to get a trophy for Spurs. He's got that now. He'll always be a club legend. Build him a statue. I said the other day, ideally build him a statue with Harry Kane, I think, because they are the highest ever Premier League goal involvement pairing. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Really will. It's going to be a very busy summer at Tottenham Hotspur, I think. Obviously, there's all the talk that Scott Munn may leave. Vinay is coming in as the chief exec. Will Johan Lange stay? We don't know what's going to happen with Big Ange. Busy summer. But for me, this is where I'm at right now. I think give Big Ange, keep him going as the manager. Okay, we've got a Spurs substitute. Let's see what's happening here. Looks like it's probably Odebear to me. Van der Ven is still on the pitch. Johnson's still on the pitch as well. So Pap Sarr is coming off for Odebear. So Odebear will play in the 10, you would think. I kind of thought Odebear might start today. Pap Sarr, he just gave away a few balls easily, but he was working hard in terms of recovering stuff, pressing-wise. A1 Star says, have you heard any news of how Yang Min-hyuk's season went on loan at QPR? He did some good stuff, saw some good clips, but I think most of the time he was playing off the bench as far as I'm aware. But it would be really good for him to have played some men's football in England. Scott Rizal says, there are a few Matoma-like players in Japan. Spurs should get at least one player from that league as they're technically proficient as a whole. I wonder what the situation is work permit-wise with stuff like that, though. They have to certainly have accumulated enough international games or be talented enough to be seen by those in the know to be worthy of coming to play and get a work permit. Scribble Scrabble says, Sarr was great at stealing some balls with long limbs on Wednesday. Anyway, the game has kicked back off. Tottenham shooting towards the south stand now in the second half. Brighton just getting the ball down in midfield at the start of this second half. They're just with the two centre halves now, just in their own half. Oh, bit of a half pass there, and Odebear tried to steal it, but Brighton just about keep it. Get it out wide left again to Matoma. What a beautiful dribbler he is, fronting up Pedro Porro here. Porro trying to show him down the line. He does get down the line. It gets a cross in, and Porro's going to have to be careful here. And he did really well there to get his body in between the ball and one of the Brighton players to win a free kick in his own box. Matty Smith says, and I assume you're talking about Yang Min-hyuk. I think he'll be loaned out again. Yeah, I would have thought so. That would make sense. Brighton have also brought Gomez on. Johnny Side says, we got lucky. Don't evaluate our season on one game. I think you just got to be reactive. You've got to evaluate it on everything. I just think Spurs are in a bit of a situation now where there's a lot of good vibes. Well, Brighton breaking forward here, but a heavy touch goes off for a throw. There's a lot of good vibes around the club now. And I think Ange has proven in terms of his messaging and his man management, he's pretty much second to none. So I think you've got to take that into account as well, personally. 47 minutes gone. Spurs 1, Brighton 0. Archie Gray given a bit of a difficult throw to deal with by Porro there. And Matoma has got past Porro twice in this first minute here. Cuts the ball back, headed out by Kevin Danso at the near post and cleared on by Bentancur. But Matoma He's so graceful, and he's already got past Porro twice. Brighton just trying to put on some pressure on Spurs early in the second half. Oh, brilliant from Udogie down the left here, and he's driving forward. Still going, Udogie, but then gives the ball away, unfortunately. He thought he was fouled, but he wasn't. And now Brighton coming at us. Oh, this is a real chance for Brighton. This is like watching Spurs all season here. But Archie Gray has filled in through Doggy. Brilliant stuff. Love that from him. And gets it off for a throw-in. Brighton get a cross in towards the back post. And Brennan Johnson there in a good position defensively to get it back to, just heads it back calmly to Vicario. Jinx says, there's so much business to do this summer. I think it's time to rotate our older squad guys, relegate those who want to stay but can't play all the games to the position and buy new blood. Porro goes down the line and is fouled. And the ref sees it. Spurs win the foul back in the right back position. Brighton are a very heavy pressing team. So Spurs having to play at their best here. I'm buffering, unfortunately, so I'm having to try and find a new feed. Oh, so it looks like based on the comments we're giving away a goal. And I didn't see it because I'm buffering. Frustrating. Well, it's gone back to where I am, so I'm about to see. I'm well behind, I guess. Yeah, I'm at 48 minutes 53. So I assume something's going to come, but it's buffering again. Lots of people saying it's really bad. So I wonder what we tried here. Okay, Brighton coming through midfield. They get a throw in. It's buffering so badly, really annoying. Why is this happening? Now Brighton playing it through midfield. Back to the centre half. Comes out wide left. And then it buffers again. Fuck off. So annoying. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Okay. Well, I've finally seen it goes into the roof of the net. 51 minutes. I didn't see what happened in the make-up, though. The Brighton player loving it. Hinchelwood by the looks of things. The game's kicked off again. Spurs haven't really been in this game second half. Haven't really got the ball down at all in the first 7 minutes of it. Chelsea have scored at Forest, so that's big for them. And the Spurs fans now trying to get behind the players who are looking a little leggy. There, Solanke wins it back in midfield. He's got to give it, though, and he loses it. It's happened a couple of times this half where Spurs have just taken too many touches in midfield. Thomas Marlian saying Brighton so much better with Matoma. Yeah, that's an understatement. Just going to get off the comments for a little bit so I can try and concentrate on the game. Udogie plays it down the line to Odobert. Heavy touch from Udogie. Spurs starting to look a little bit leggy in this half, to say the least. And Brighton kind of getting through us quite easily here. They're running at the back line into the box. Good football chance. Straight at Vicario. Saves it from Gomez. Southampton have equalised against Arsenal, which is funny. But that was a good move from Brighton. Yeah, decent save from Vicario that you'd expect him to make. Come on, let's get on the ball, Spurs. Here's Porro. Let's just do it easy for a bit. And Porro gives it away. Actually, it goes out for a throw-in off a Brighton player. Nice stream. Okay, so they're showing a replay. So it comes from a corner, comes in. One at the near post. I mean, it's just a set piece goal, whatever. Spurs a little bit, I'd say they're a little bit static probably. But Tottenham keep losing the ball in the second half. I don't know whether it's Brighton have changed things or whether Spurs have just not got up to speed. West Ham 2-1 up against Ipswich. Danso does well there in the box and Johnson clears. God, my stream is buffering so much. I'm sorry about this, guys, at the moment. See if the other one I've got is any better. Oh, Spurs have given away another corner. I'm at 54 minutes 30 now. Brighton are really turning up the heat here, and this is their 6th corner. Spurs have lapsed slightly into their Premier League level here, unfortunately, where I think we played pretty well in the first half. Brighton are going to hit an out-swinging corner here. Here it comes. And it's one at the near post, but goes over the bar. Yeah, Brighton just look a lot more up for it the second half, that's for sure, certainly than Spurs do, which is a shame, because I was really enjoying the tempo in the first half. Maybe we're missing Pap Sarr's legs. Anyway, Porro will have a... Oh no, Johnson takes the throw in early to Porro. We're just in Brighton's half and it comes back to Danso. Crosses it over to... Yeah, the second half possession for Spurs is just 15%. Oh, beautiful down the left though. Beautiful run down the left from Udogie. Cuts it back, chance for Brennan. Oh, and he hits it wide. That was such a Brennan Johnson position. I tell you, if Brennan Johnson... It was beautiful cutback. If Brennan Johnson had scored that, oh my God, the crowd would have gone absolutely bonkers. And they're already chanting his Johnson ole, ole, ole. Beautiful tell it was down the line, turns his man and drives forward, outpaces him, gets to the byline. Fantastic cutback. Wonderful stuff from Tell. And Johnson should score, actually. He opens his foot out, but just gets it the wrong side of the post. That's better from Spurs. I'm just not in the comments at the moment, guys, just because it's buffering so much that the delay is probably quite a lot. But I'm at 56 minutes 30. Matoma just has the ball on the left here. Brighton play the ball in the channel on the left. Van der Ven. Oh, it's gone inside him. Here's a big chance for Brighton. Oh, great tackle from Danso. Really brilliant block. And then he clears it as well. Great stuff from Big Kev. He's had a good game. Brighton cutting Spurs open quite easily at the moment with just 1 or 2 touch passes. Matoma on the left now. Oh, he's beaten both Porro and Johnson, and Porro will get a booking for hacking him down there. Too easy for Matoma. What a lovely player. He'd be a brilliant, brilliant Spurs player, Matoma. Anyway, still here. Greeny says Johnson should score. And Scott Rozelle says left foot needed. Yeah, I know what you mean. Scott says Porro sub for Spence. That wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. Anyway, it's a free kick to Brighton. I'm going to swing one in with the left foot. John Mason says, don't rate Vic, certainly shouldn't be captain. Well, he's the 4th choice captain, so I don't think we have to worry about it too much. Thomas Mirillian says, Matoma is dancing with Porro. Yeah, this is a difficult one for Porro, to be honest. But anyway, here comes the free kick. Comes deep. First header from Brighton, of course. Then it's bouncing around. Dancer trying to get rid of it, and Spurs win a free kick. Let's see what people on Twitter are saying. Just checking. Let me know in the comments. You can hear me all already? All right. A lot of people are kind of dropped off the stream, but it might just be because Spurs have conceded a goal. Just want to double check you can hear me all okay. Yeah, James Dunn says all good. Appreciate that. Brighton about to make another substitute. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that with your messages about the sound. Okay, Brighton under this young manager, they are a decent team, that's for sure. He's got them playing some good stuff. Come on, Spurs. 60 minutes gone now. I'd expect us to make some more subs relatively soon. Vicario's going to go long with this one. Scott Rizal says 3-0 subs for Brighton versus Spurs. Spurs have made a sub. Alderweireld came on. Van der Ven lays it back to Vicario. Danto giving him an option. And Vic finds him. He's got Porro outside him, but Danto tries to make a little run inside, and Danto loses out here. Problems. They're in here. Udogie gets his body in the way, but Brighton still have it. They're in the box. Lay it back. Here comes the chip to the back post. Archie Gray gets a head on it. Does well. Comes to Matoma. Veltman now. He swings in another cross, but Gray in a good position at the front post. Brighton all on top of Spurs today. In the second half, I mean. The Spurs fans trying to get behind them now. Come on, Tottenham. Keep putting in a performance. Thomas says at home we should be winning this game. They've definitely looked a bit leggier in the second half, Spurs. But Matoma coming on has helped. You have to wonder why he didn't start the game. My stream just cut out, guys. Are you still with me? Let me know if you're still with me in the comments. My stream cut out, which has never happened before. So let me know if you're still with me. Okay, John says yes. Okay, appreciate it. Brighton just playing with Spurs in the box a little bit here. And I saw that one of you said that I think Vic made a good save maybe. So I assume I'm about to see that. Spurs can't get it out. Yeah, there's the good save. Flicks it over the bar. Mick Snee says, and some of you still want Postecoglou next season. Greeny says they're playing one touch in our effing area. Yeah, it's not good at the moment. Spurs just sitting back. We're back in Bilbao. But Brighton are just much better than Man United. And Scott says they're winning all the loose balls. That's true. Tottenham are not up to this at the moment in this second half. And the Brighton fans loving it. Scott asked for some subs. Minter was a good signing for them from Newcastle, wasn't he? Looks like a good player. It's going to be an outswing corner. Here it comes. Well done at the near post from Solanke. Shot on the edge. Oh, and they've hit the post, Brighton. Deflected onto the post. And once again, Spurs whack it clear and lose the ball straight away. And Matoma down the left now. Okay, triple sub coming for Spurs. Bissouma, Rishi, and Ben Davis. So you'd think that would be for Van der Ven. Ben Davis. Bissouma and Rishi. So Rishi for Tell or Solanke, I guess. Matoma down the left here. They're just working us here to try and set up a cross. Comes out wide right now. I've seen a comment which I assume means not good news. And they've got to the byline on the right. Goes out for a corner. But it looks like, based on your comments, that Spurs have conceded another goal. So is it from the corner? Yeah, another set piece, Jonathan says. Sorry, I'm delayed, guys. Annoying. It's really fun to know what happened before it happens. Oh, we've not been great at marking set pieces all season. Here it comes the in-swinger, which I think we all know is about to happen. Yeah, we don't win the first one, and then the back heel goes in just in front of Vicario. Oh, it's Hinchelwood again. Yeah, don't mark the player who's already scored from one set piece, guys. Oh, Frere says, okay, back now to reality. Yeah, it does feel a bit like that. Tottenham have been absolutely abject this second half. going to see if I can get a stream that is less delayed. No, I think this one's even worse, actually. I think the problem, listen, there are lots of problems, but one of the problems is we just don't win the first ball enough from set pieces. So many corners that they haven't scored from in this game where I've said it, haven't I? You've heard me say, oh, Brighton have won the first ball, of course. Well, they've won the first and the second ball there. So Van der Ven has come off. So I don't mind that at all because just want him to stay fit. Huge reaction from the Spurs fans. I'm going to ask a difficult question here. Do you think if we lose this game, or when we lose this game, that will make it easier for the Spurs fans to stomach if Levy does sack Ange? Let me know what you think. Yeah, Tom Bowder's just asked the same thing at the same time. Do we think this game has any bearing on Ange's future? I mean, I think if he'd won this game 4-0, then I think that would have made it harder for Levy, don't you? Greeny says, and for a brief moment, we were 14th. So Solanke, Bentancur, and Van der Ven have come off for Rishi, Bissouma, and Davis. Jack Legros says, Ange subs too late again. He was trying to make the subs, to be fair. And now the Spurs fans are chanting Champions of Europe. We know what we are. Sai's going to go well, says, I think we sack him because it's too much. Yeah, the co-commentators made a good point. In the second half, Brighton have played like a team who need this result. Spurs in the first half looked good, I thought. But we've been pretty abject second half. Oh, a bit of a mistake there. Oh, and Richarlison nearly made the most of it. Looks like Rishi's playing in the 9. Pingu says 2 goals and you start whinging straight away. Tom Bowder says 38 points from 38 games. Greeny says 17 shots to 4 for Brighton. Scribble Scrabble says, and rightly, it's not over, guys. But yeah, that's right. 17 attempts for Brighton. Jinx says, I think it's a bit much to expect anything today, but we looked okay in the first half. Let's just let it end. I'm not changing how I feel about Ange based on this game. They do definitely look knackered in the second half. I do still think it's a bit dangerous to sack him after he's won a trophy, but oh wow, Everton have gone 1-0 up at Newcastle. Brighton breaking through on us here. They've got loads of men forward, but Bissouma manages to get a touch, and that could be a goal kick, I think. Oh no, it's been given as a corner. Jonathan Davis says, please don't sack Ange. I don't want to start again. The new guy turns up and thinks Bergville is rubbish. Yeah, I see what you mean. Leon says, hard decision, really. He deserves to stay, but do they want him to have a full transfer window in pre-season? Listen, here's the question, guys. Who comes in for Ange that will excite the fans enough? Do not tell me that Thomas Frank comes in and the fans are going to be like, oh, I definitely think that was the right decision. I think it's going to have to be someone with a big reputation, a big ego, who can handle the fact that he's taken over from a manager who's just won the Europa League. Anyway, Brighton have their 9th corner here. Another good... and they get the first ball again and heads it wide. God, the defending of corners is just embarrassing. Phil says Glasner, I agree. Sai's going to go well, says Xavi. Never managed in the Premier League, so it seems unlikely. I do like Glasner, but a bit of a risk for him, isn't it? To join Spurs. Oh, Spurs so lucky there. And that's actually when Brighton just hit the post just before they scored. Thomas Marlin says Klopp. No, Klopp has already said he won't manage again in the Premier League. Brennan Johnson now wins a corner. Well done, Brennan. Scott says nobody's replacing Ange. Levy does have a plan, and number one is sticking with him through thick and thin. John Mason says 10 minutes ago we were finishing 15th. But it looks like 17th place for us. Levy's got to either stick with Ange for the whole next season or relieve him of his duties tomorrow. And Scribble Scrubble says, I really don't want Ange to go. Jack Legros says, a real lack of quality, so many substandard signings, and it shows. I'm not sure about that. I don't think we've got that many players who are substandard, personally. Let's see what's happening in other games. It was Alcaraz who scored for Everton, and there's been a red card for Ryan Gravenberch at Liverpool. Porro with the corner, outswinger. Brighton get on the end of it. And Bissouma was tempted to have a shot. In the end, he didn't either shoot nor control it. But Linton Shoot says, thanks, Linton. Good to see you, mate. Says, I would take Glasner over Ange any day. I think Glasner would be a good bet. If he had Glasner lined up, then you'd have to say, I would have to say, okay, I understand it. But for Xavi, for instance, I'm not sure. Eamon McNeil says you cannot keep this manager, absolutely no way. I don't think much has changed for me since the other day. Give him the opportunity to stay, seeing as he's met his obligations. But I do think Daniel Levy's in a difficult position. Leon Davis says, would Glasner leave now to come? Well, exactly. Scott Rizal says Glasner would cost a lot of money, like Eza. Do you know what's so funny? And I've said it this season, but I'll say it again now. And if any of you are brave enough, let me know if you ever said this. But there have been so many people that I've seen in the Spurs fan base for a number of years who have said, I would accept us finishing 17th if we won a cup. And that is what's going to happen, literally. Now, I don't think we can be hypocritical. If a lot of us felt that way and it happened, you have to say, okay, yeah, I take it. I take it. And we won the Europa League. So it's not even just a League Cup. It's the Europa League. That means we're going to get into the Champions League. So, you know, just having a look at the league table as it stands. Villa in 5th, Newcastle 6th, Forest 7th. Brighton, if they continue this result, I think they only need a point to finish in the top 8. Kevin 40k says, that was me, the most Spursy way to do it. Jack says, let's get this straight. I wanted Ange to be successful. We were awful most every game. It's not viable. I think one of the problems with Ange is he does seem easy to work out for the opposition. I mean, we see the same goals getting scored every time, as I've said many times. Although today it's gone back to the kind of set-piece goals. Scott says Xavi would be my other choice, but I don't think there would be a smooth continuation. We'd have a slight rebuild, probably bounce out of Champions League, then back to square one. Anyway, the Spurs fans are chanting the Ange Postecoglou chant at the moment, but Tottenham getting dominated in the second half by Brighton. There's just 20 minutes to go. I'm older than Sam says sacking Ange devalues Bilbao. I think basically, first job, Daniel Levy, don't let Mitoma leave this stadium until you've signed him for Spurs. Scribble Scrabble says, coys. Has something good happened? Surely not. Or are you just saying in general, coys? No, nothing good has happened, Scribble Scrabble says. Clyde's going to go well, says Mitoma is like 29. I don't care. He's a fucking brilliant player. He is a brilliant player. Here's an interesting one from Soren. So Spurs can't afford to throw away the squad unity Ange has achieved after Bilbao. They do love Ange, but you know that doesn't mean that maybe, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Oh, terrible ball from Udogie. Got to say, Udogie looks absolutely cooked at this point, but he's not bringing Spence on, so maybe Spence is even more cooked after the last week. Oh, Mitoma in at the byline again, and it's good defending at the near post by Ben Davis. Wolf Mauler says, I don't dispute recent spending. I just think if Levy sacks Ange, he's not going to invest further until he sees the new manager getting a tune out of an existing squad. Well, the whole idea of having the sporting director, of having Johan Lang and Scott Munn and people, is that the manager isn't the only important part of it, and that the transfer strategy should continue. Bournemouth 1-0 up against Leicester. Semenyo, he's a player I would bring in for sure. I love him. Yeah, Scott says Udogie has played ball. Yeah, he looks absolutely cooked. Again, Brighton winning a lot of headers in the box, but we've cleared it. 17 minutes left here. Come on, Spurs. Surprise us and pull something out, but they've been absolutely appalling in the second half, it's fair to say. Tell is still working hard, but Brighton just playing it around us. Lots happening in the other games, though. Wolves have equalised against Brentford. I'm older than Sam says that looks like the hangover's kicked in. Yeah, I completely agree. Mark Jameson says 71 points dropped this season. We were shit, but lucky on Wednesday. Sai's going to go well, says we never do comebacks. Epic 20 says Andy's Premier League run still not looking good, is it? Got to be honest. No, it doesn't look good. Brighton play it down the line. But they've kicked the ball out. So it's a Spurs throw. Man City 2-0 up at Fulham. Erling Haaland. Kevin asks, has anyone a bet on all teams to score today? Oh, yeah, that would have been a good bet. Archie Gray does well. Plays down the line. Brighton win it again. Basuma tries to play a ball out to Johnson, who can't quite bring it down, unfortunately. Linton says, we have to invest in the summer because we're playing Champions League football. We need a bigger squad with some quality. Agreed. Wolf says, I'm hoping they do surprise us. I have a leftover bottle of champers that needs popping. Yeah, I actually fear that if we don't get something back out of this game, my mate Joey won't want to go out tonight anymore. That would be gutting. Scott says Brighton have subbed way more effectively than Spurs earlier and with more impact. Yeah, that's true as well, I have to say. And Ange always subs too late, says a Peck 20. Guys, I'm loving this stream, even though we're not winning at the moment. We're losing. 15 minutes to go. Thank you so much for your support. Do press that like button. And if any of you are watching and you haven't subscribed to my channel, do give it a little subscribe. Daily Tottenham content and Premier League transfer news, always starting with Spurs all throughout this summer. Good question from Jonathan, asking Wolf, how have you got leftover champagne after Wednesday? Spurs are just jogging about now. It's like watching Man United all season as Brighton slip in. That will be a corner. Oh, no, it's been given as a goal kick. Well done, Kev Danso. Whoa. Scribble Scrabble says a VAR Villa goal. Frankly, I'm tempted to go and look at it. If Villa managed to win at Man United to get in the Champions League with 10 men, that would be hilarious. Would that knock Chelsea out of it? Let's have a look. It hasn't been included on live score yet. No. So was it disallowed? Was it? They're checking, according to Scribble Scrabble. HMQ, good point. Hey, everyone, we're in the Champions League. Exactly. Mel Knight says, Ange isn't a good manager for the Premier League. One problem for Ange that he definitely does have, along with the injuries and the losses, is that it's not just been this season. It's been this season and half of last season, where it's not been good form overall. So that is quite a big sample size. So if Levy did let him go, I think you would see in his statement from Levy that is the reason. HMQ says, can't believe Newcastle are messing it up. Hilarious. Yeah, so what's happening here at the moment? So yeah, Newcastle down to 6th, Villa in 5th, and Forest 7th. Eamon says, exactly, Barnaby, it's not just this season. That's why I'm adamant that he cannot stay. Smokehouse Stew says, Barnaby, many thanks for your watch-alongs all year. They're by far the best. Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, guys. And for those of you who do watch regularly and want to support me, you can become a member if you're not already a member. It's only £1 a month. All the details are in the description box below. And you can sign up as a member on YouTube or as a Patreon member. Porro bringing it out. On plays a beautiful ball to Odebear, who is absolutely cleared out. And he's still down. And Rishi isn't therefore on his own against 3 players. But he's going to have to try and win something here, Rishi. And he wins a throw and does well. Aston Villa apparently had a goal wrongly disallowed. Oh, and now Man United have scored. And a Brighton player has been booked for that bad challenge on Odebear. And it's Amad Diallo scored for Man United against Villa. So how does that affect Villa at the moment? John Mansfield says, mutual agreement statement about Ange this evening. Yeah. I do think something will have to be announced quickly. Conrad says, great commentary as always. By the way, loving your contact with Ashmatic. Yeah, Ashmatic's great, isn't he? He really knows his stuff. Spurs getting on the ball a bit more now with Tell, but he straight away loses it. I mean, maybe not surprisingly, just Brighton are a little bit quicker to everything this half, as Ben Davis got the ball there, but there's a foul given against him. Greeny says Minter is cooking our left side. That's true. That's true. Captain Mannering says, Barnaby, are you happy Ange gave up on league when it's a bread and butter? Yes, for that night against Bilbao, in Bilbao, sorry, I am fine with that for this season, for sure. Jonathan Davis, good point. This game should change nothing, but Wednesday's game changed everything. So I was going to go, why is Ben Davis on? Haven't we sold him already? Jed Spence is going to come on. Leon Davis, wonder if Ange would go and then do well in another team, or he would get another job in the top flight. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know whether he would get another Premier League team. Probably not, because it's hard to see him getting a team kind of who would be fighting relegation, if you excuse how mad that seems, because we're going to finish 17th. But you know what I mean. Scott Rizal says, Jonathan, while I agree this game is everything that is wrong with Spurs. Rubayet says, currently Newcastle are out of the Champions League spot. That would be hilarious for the Saudi Arabia side of it. Oh, and that's good defending by Ben Davis there. Another corner for Brighton. Mel Knight says, we shouldn't be signing Tell at any cost. He's too lightweight, plus he doesn't have the pace to outrun the wing-backs or the full-backs. Will be interesting to see what happens. I mean, theoretically, he could go back and play for Bayern Munich in the World Club Cup in the next few weeks, couldn't he? Pivot set 2 says, is Martin Yol still working? Ryan Law says, this current play style reminds me of Andre Villas-Boas. And Liam says, Vicario is a bag of nerves. I suppose I'm about to see something then, because I'm still waiting for the corner to happen. 9 minutes left. Vicario's actually gone down. Hey, we're looking for positives, guys. As far as I could tell, Van der Ven didn't get injured today, and he's not on the pitch anymore. So he shouldn't be training for the next month and a half. That should be good. Mike, with some home truth, says, need to look at the season. Squad, money, manager. Truth is he's got to go. Beating Frankfurt and United doesn't cover a poor season, does it? Hod God 10 says, Ange has to be replaced. We'll forever be grateful to him for winning the Europa Cup, but we need a manager who can take us to the next level. Brighton hit another deep corner, which they win easily in the air, but it goes straight to Brighton. Scribble Scrabble says, yes, good news. We have our Mickey out of a cast. Rubayet says, we'll be the first team to qualify for Champions League by finishing 17th. What a year of records for Spurs. Anyway, Tottenham trying to get their foot on the ball now as it gets into the last 10 minutes. As Archie Gray finds Kev Danso, goes down the right to Porro. He tries to play in Brennan Johnson, who looks leggy to say the least and gives away a foul. And then he'll get his booking for whacking the ball away as well. Although the ref was looking in the other direction, so that might save him. Okay, Tell is coming off for Spence. Thomas Murraylian says, I think this is the worst season in the Prem ever. Matt Smith said, just want to say thanks for all your streams this season, mate. We'll definitely keep following. Look forward to next season. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you so much. And here comes Jed Spence. Liverpool have equalised against Crystal Palace. So the league table as it stands, Newcastle back in 5th now. Villa 6th. Chelsea 4th. Boo. Salah gets another goal for Liverpool. Okay, yeah, 6.5 minutes left for Spurs. I'm going to come out of the comments quickly so I can try and enjoy this just in case anything magic happens. I don't want to see it in advance. But keep watching, guys. Danso tries to play it in between the lines to Gray, but it's picked off. Tottenham are second to absolutely everything. Brighton are just knocking it about pretty easily here. Gotta say, thank God we won that Europa League, because can you imagine how toxic this stadium would be today if we'd lost that final and come 17th and what have you. Ugh. My feed is buffering, unfortunately. Apparently Newcastle are again out of the Champions League spot right now. It doesn't look like it from where I am on live score. It's Villa who are out of it at the moment, according to my records. Villa, of course, losing at Man United, which will be very disappointing, but they did have Martinez sent off. My stream is pretty awful today. I'm on 85.11. Oh, Richarlison's just been bodied outside the box, falls to the floor. It'll be fine. Come on, Spurs. Just give us something. Imagine if we got a last goal, how good the reaction would be. But anyway, Matoma is now running one-on-one with Dan, so trying to come narrow, gets the ball stuck under his feet, unfortunately. Still in the box, though, Brighton. Just trying to set us up again here, bringing it round to the right-hand side. Minte again gets to the byline. He's got to the byline all day, but Udogie brings it out. West Ham 3-1 up at Ipswich. And Udogie finds Spence outside him. Looks like Spence is playing kind of wide left at the moment. Oh, Spence plays a lovely ball inside to Udogie. He plays a horrible ball back to Spence. Udogie is absolutely spent. Now Brighton coming at us. They've got 4 men forward. They slip him in. Big chance. Diving tackle. That could be a pen. And it is a penalty. And is it Udogie? No, Bissouma. Bissouma against his former team. Arsenal have scored in the last minute against Southampton. I don't think Bissouma needed to do that. Oh, Biss. Yeah, it's been described as a tired tackle. I mean, not a huge surprise because he's been out absolutely off his tits for the last few days. Yeah, he doesn't get anywhere near the ball. It ends up being a pretty bad tackle on Gomez, to be honest. It's as much of a penalty as you will ever see a penalty. What's happening in the other games, though, according to my notifications? Now I'm buffering again as well. Newcastle still losing at home to Everton. Forest still losing at home to Chelsea. Villa still losing against Man United. Oh, it's O'Reilly. Yeah, Andy's former player at Celtic. He was on Spurs' list for a while. Scott says if Ange had made subs at halftime, I'd be a lot less mad. Williams says 34 losses in 66 games. Yeah, there's quite a lot, isn't it? I have to say, I think this result, even though obviously we're pissed, this does make it easier for Daniel Levy if he does want to pull the plug. Linton says it takes the shine off the Europa League. I don't think it does that necessarily, but it will make it easier for Levy if he wants to get rid of him. I'm still waiting for this penalty, but got to assume it's gone in because I saw someone write 3-1. Thomas says we are so crap. What's worse, Tottenham or my stream? I think it would be a good question to ask. I'm now switching streams, and presumably that means I'm going to miss the goal from O'Reilly. Yeah, 3-1. Ratty Man says, Ange, thank you and goodbye. Ratty Man, my dad's nickname was Ratty Man, weirdly. Just seeing a replay, left-footed pen. Oh, Macari goes the right way, but he gets into the side netting. It's a good pen. Oh, yeah, you don't save them. Roubaix keeps asking what the updated table is. Roubaix, you're the one who keeps telling me Newcastle are out of it, but they're not. Newcastle are 5th, Chelsea 4th, City 3rd, Arsenal 2nd. Spurs 17th, Wolves 16th, Man United up to 15th, West Ham 14th. So in the end, Tottenham saved themselves from relegation by 13 points. And Josy says, today was a free hit. Ange kept us in the league. That's all that matters this season. Ange is still the right man to lead Spurs till 2027. Players are hungover and tired today, and Ange I trust. Yeah, I understand how you feel that. I do. I think he'll be listen, if he does sack Ange, then there will be a lot of pundits who are like, you can't do that, you can't do that. But let's see what happens. Christian Eriksen gets a goal on his last game for Man United. Good for him. Richarlison loses the ball in midfield. Archie Gray picks it up and tries to play it through to Odobert. Spurs, I have to say, have been absolutely abject second half. Really horrible. But anyway, here comes Porro on the right. Tries an early cross. Richarlison loses out. Thomas says next season we could go down. It's scary. I don't think so. I'll tell you what would be really bad is if Levy sacks him and then he hasn't got someone lined up straight away, and we go through what we've had a few times in the last few years of like 100 days waiting to decide on a manager. That would be really bad. Spence driving forward, but he loses the ball. But the Spurs fans are still chanting. They're chanting, we know what we are, champions of Europe. We know what we are. Rube asks if we should sign Garnacho. Not based on his attitude, I'd say. 6 minutes of added time to come. Tottenham 3-1 down to Brighton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. FK says this is the worst we played all year. The second half, first half we were good, I thought. Second half we've been poor. Spurs have gone apparently 119 games without a 0-0 draw. Brighton cutting us open a bit here now. Although that was a bad one. But the Spurs fans still loving it and chanting all their chants. Chris says, expect to be worse in the second half after being half cut for 3 days. HMQ says, Glasner could be already lined up. Yeah, I would accept that. I would accept that. Wolf says, hold on, is this right? 17 times we've lost from a winning position. 17 of our losses, we blew the lead. Yeah, that's really bad. Ryan Gloria, who's a Brighton fan, says, oh, we didn't mean to spoil your party. You didn't spoil the party, mate. It's all right. We just won a Europa League. Oh, bad tackle in midfield from Archie Gray. I'll get booked for that, I would have thought. I'm pleased for Christian Eriksen scoring on his last game, presumably in the Premier League. Thomas Moralian says it's 4-1 now. And Scott says to think we've gone from a plus 13 goal difference to 0. Well, I'm still at 91 minutes 50, so I guess I'm about to see us concede a fourth. This will make it easier for Daniel Levy, getting dicked here 4-1 as they bring on James Milner. Good goal, apparently. I look forward to it. Go down to my other stream to see if I can see it. How's everyone getting? What stream are you guys on? Everyone's getting everything before. Gomez, it was with the goal. I haven't seen it yet, but he's the one that they brought on at half-time as well. Apparently, it's one of the goals of the season. Let's see the replay. And the reaction from the Spurs fans is that they're just singing Spurs when the Spurs go marching in. I'm pleased for them. I love that the fans are just backing us despite this absolute dross performance in the second half. Do you think we were 1-0 up at half-time? Here we go. Oh, he just bends it into the top corner. It is a great goal. Sonny-esque. Sonny-esque. But that can happen when you've got players just not bothered. It's a great goal. And Ozzy says, let's have a great summer now and win the Super Cup in August. And Ozzy, I fear for your manager, mate. I fear for your bloke. I fear that we're going to get the either this evening or the 9 a.m. Tottenham statement. But I'm sure that the statement from Levy will be very supportive. But supportive when you're basically putting an animal down. Greeny says, I've no idea how Ange turns this form around for next season. And Kaladiva says they just can't be bothered closing down now. They're knackered. And Deltsabar says, Ange isn't helping his cause today. They started bright but fell apart. I mean, yeah, agreed. But also they were drunk. And I'm sure he'll talk about that in the... I mean, he's going to have a difficult interviews and press conference after this, isn't he? Anyway, we've got a minute and a half left. What a mad position we're in where we've lost 4-1 at least. And the whole stadium are waving their flags and just loving it. Spurs fans are absolutely loving it. It's so weird. Like all with their fans up. Their flags up, sorry. Spurs trying to play some football now. Alderweireld trying to break forward. Tries to put Johnson in, but Johnson's first touch is heavy to say least. Can he get a cross in? That's well defended in that corner. So he's going to go whilst it's embarrassing seeing after this. No, it's not. We've just won the Europa League. Chill. Epic 20 says Glasner in Paratici recruits in the summer, smash Champions League next season. Greeny says we lost 4-1 to Birmingham in the game after our last trophy win. Actually, it's not a corner, it's a goal kick. We're into the last 30 seconds. I don't know if my stream will stay on the pitch for any of the after-match stuff, but I hope so. Let's see what happens. But it's over. What a weird season it's been. Epic 20 says, you're only as good as your last game. Kevin says, only as good as your last trophy. Linton says, 20. That's the end of the game. Tottenham 1, Brighton 4. And Brighton finish 8th. Ange gives Hertz a really good reaction. Freire says, we have our Spurs back. This is my instant match reaction to the Tottenham Hotspur 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 4 Premier League game, the last game of the season. Tottenham actually played pretty well the first half, went in 1-0 up. Dominic Solanke with a penalty, put it in the top of the net. I have to say at this point, this result, I know the players have been drunk all week, I get it, but I have to say this does make it easier for Daniel Levy if he does want to dispense of the services or dispense with the services of Ange Postecoglou. In the second half, Tottenham were abject. But the Spurs fans, I'm watching the Spurs fans now, and even though they've been beaten 4-1, they do not care a jot. They've all got their flags, and they're absolutely ready for the post-match presentation of the Europa League to the home fans. Listen, I actually have been saying all week that I thought Spurs would, the pressure would be off Spurs and they'd win this game quite comfortably. That looked like it was the case in the first half, but in the second half, the opposite. We conceded 2 goals from set pieces. We were second to pretty much every ball throughout the game. And Brighton thoroughly deserved it. I don't really care. I went into this game feeling like Daniel Levy was in a bit of a horrible predicament about Big Ange Postecoglou. Daniel Levy then released his, pre-final game of the season program notes where he said, thank you, Ange, but he didn't really back him in a big way. And I do fear for Ange Postecoglou a little bit now. It will be easier if Daniel Levy does choose to dispense with him after that. What I would say, though, is if he is going to sack the manager now after winning a trophy, he has to have someone lined up who will excite the fan base. Otherwise, I really don't know. Daniel Levy has literally only just, as a result of winning that Europa League, dragged himself back from the fire in terms of how much the Spurs fans hate him as a chairman. Now we've won the Europa League trophy. You've got that trophy that, the fans always have a go at Daniel Levy about not having got anything for so long. And then he's in a predicament where he could lose a lot of goodwill for sacking the manager. However, losing 4-1 in this game, I think, does make it easier. The usual old faults were there, bad defending from set pieces, kind of quite interested defending in general in that second half. As Brighton celebrate. Malaysia player sent a super chat. Thank you so much. Says Ange's last gift to the club, a reality check. It is a bit of a reality check. We do concede too many goals. I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult. Listen, I cried when Daniel Levy sacked Maurizio Pochettino. And I know Maurizio Pochettino had been, he'd been touting about for other roles. He was interested in the Manchester United role. He had talked about how if we'd won that Champions League final, he would have left the club. And that kind of made it easy for Daniel Levy to sack him then. I don't think I would cry if Ange Postecoglou lost his job. But I do think, Ange has the right to pitch for his job again. Ange has the right to say to Daniel Levy, this is what I would change next season. Ange Postecoglou has the right to say, this is what needs doing. And hopefully Daniel Levy gives him that meeting and that gives him that option to pitch for his job again. But like I said, I can't stop coming back to the fact that there are other teams. I'll give you an example. When Man United won, I think it was their first Premier League trophy back in the early 90s. They played they'd already won it, and they played Blackburn on the final day at home. Blackburn, who were a really good team back then. And the players have said since in many documentaries I've seen and stuff, how they were all just absolutely smashed for the few days before, absolutely hungover. They turned up against Brighton. They beat them 3-1. They let Gary Pallister take a free kick in the last minute because he was the only player who hadn't scored a goal that season, and he scored it. So these games can get won by players who have been out on the lash for days. That does happen. But today, in the second half, Tottenham didn't show any fight whatsoever. And there have just been too many games this season where Tottenham have showed no fight whatsoever in the Premier League. And Ange will say in his meeting with Daniel Levy, oh, well, that is because of, the injuries and the Europa League. But the reality is, as I see the table, Spurs finished 17th on 38 points, didn't make it to 40 points, 11 wins, 22 defeats. 22 defeats. And when he has that meeting with Daniel Levy, that is going to be a struggle to talk off. Because it's one thing finishing 8th and just outside the Champions League places, but winning a Europa League trophy that gets you into it. But to finish 17th, some would argue, those who are definitely Ange out, would argue to Daniel Levy, that is putting the future of the club at risk. And I can see it from both points of view. I really can. But I don't think Ange has helped her. And at this moment, I would be erring right now. And I know I'm being reactive because I've been talking all week how I desperately don't want it to happen. But at this moment, I would not be surprised in the slightest if at 9 o'clock this evening or 9 o'clock in the morning, we got that classic Tottenham Hotspur website tweet of club announcement. And it will be, I think, a very kind, if it did happen, a very kind message to Ange Postecoglou, but something alluding to the fact that we cannot put the future of the club in danger by coming anywhere near 17th in the Premier League again. But let's see what happens. Like I said, I wouldn't mind kind of either way. Let's see what happens. I think Ange should potentially be given the chance to rebuild. But Levy has been ruthless before. He sacked Jose Mourinho before a League Cup final. I've said this week on some of my live streams, but I'll say it again. What Levy has done differently this season for the first time is stick with a manager when he will have been tempted to sack him on many, many occasions. And maybe this is his last opportunity to be like, do I stick one last time and give him a chance to rebuild? Or is it just too much? Is it just too much? Jack Legros in the comments says, replacing Ange with no automatic replacement is ridiculous. Well, that's it. They will, I'm sure, have been doing their due diligence and speaking to agents of managers behind the scenes for a while now. But I don't think he can sack him without anyone lined up. But let's see what happens. In terms of like player ratings for today, Vicario, 6. Porro, 6. Van de Ven looked good. I'll give him a 6.5. Danso was all right, 6.5. Udogi, 4. I mean, he looked absolutely smashed. Gray had one of his better games in midfield, so I'll give him a 6.5. Bentancur looked good when he was on. I'll give him a 6.5. Sarr, 6. Tell 6, Johnson 4, looked smashed, and Solanke 6, probably. Brighton in the second half just had too much legs for us. Obviously, they hadn't been travelling. They haven't played a game in the week. They haven't had any emotional, let alone physical exhaustion to deal with. In terms of if Ange were to be fired, in terms of where I would go next, Glasner would be top of my list. I've been saying that for a while. He's won the Europa League with Frankfurt. He's now won the FA Cup with Crystal Palace. He's clearly a good man manager. He's a little more pragmatic, but they still play good football. And I think Tottenham need to kind of keep going down the line of wanting to play attacking football, but also not in this kind of Ozzy Ardiles-esque, gung-ho way. And that is where Tottenham have to improve defensively. Just conceded far too many goals this season. And I think Tottenham have the players where they will kind of always score goals going forward with the squad they've got, and hopefully there'll be additions. But I don't know. Who knows what's going to come out? I mean, one thing that I'm clear about is Levy does need to come out and say something. He needs to come out and say something, even if it's, no, I'm supporting the manager. He reached his objectives, or he needs to come out and say, unfortunately, we cannot come 17th again. We've got Champions League next season, and we need something different. Anyway, guys, that has been my instant match review to the Tottenham Hotspur 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 4 game. Really enjoyed doing watch-alongs for you and all the content. There will be much Tottenham and transfer content this summer. So do press that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. Do press the like button on this video. Plenty of content coming your way. Listen, we won the Europa League. That's the important thing. We're in the Champions League. We had one of the great nights. One of the great nights of my life. In fact, this last few days has been one of the great few days of my life. I'm not going to let that result kill it for me. Let's see what happens. Come on, you Spurs. And everyone, enjoy the summer. Tune in. Lots of content. I'll try and do more live streams as well. In fact, what I'll be doing is daily kind of transfer videos, starting with Tottenham transfer rumours, mostly midday, every day live on my channel. So keep an eye out for that. And get in the comments, and we'll be talking all summer, and hopefully there'll be some really exciting signings to talk about as we head towards the European Super Cup final in August. Great stuff. Let's see what happens. Come on, you Spurs.